So here's how I made this beat. A few of you guys have been commenting on the videos and kind of asking for a more in-depth process. Thought I'll just make this video on just an old beat. It looks a little bit overwhelming right now. We're just going to break it down and simplify it. What you'll start to notice is it's just basically like a lot of layering of the same notes. So we're just going to focus on the melody first because that's where I usually start. I start off with this preset in Xenology, just a folk guitar. At the time when I made this beat, I was listening to a lot of Pradaaslife. So I wanted to make like a Pradaaslife type beat. Shout out Pradaaslife. If you haven't checked him out, you should definitely check him out. I also think it's like applicable to bladee, especially with the chord progression. So this progression is a really common rip squad progression. So this is the melody with the guitar. I left big gaps in here, basically because I wanted to create this effect of like a call and response. I knew I was going to add a second instrument in there to kind of do the response, you know. And I felt like the guitar, I liked the sound of it and the tone, but I think it was just a little bit too dry for me. So I ended up stacking it with a second preset, Inspire. It was called Dreamland. So I just literally copied the same notes, and I think I just extended these notes just so that it kind of like carried over. So this is the main key to building like bladee or like rip squad type beats, or Ivy League even. Doesn't really matter whether you're in major or minor. Doesn't matter what scale you're in, any of these, it'll all work. The progression is 1, 2, 3, which I've just inverted it down an octave, and then 5. And that's a really common progression. Then on top, I've just essentially stacked the root notes, but I've just gone up an octave. Pretty common thing to do just to make your melody sound like a little more full. And then I've just played around with the 5th here and the 7th. That's generally a good place to start. The 5th is just like kind of the magic note in the scale. So you can pretty much play around with that with any style of music that you're creating. Generally, it will sound good, you know? Anyway, this is how this melody sounds stacked. So yeah, with the extra element, it sounds like a lot more full, and it's almost as if I've added like this kind of like digital reverb to it. Then I added this pluck just on top. Kind of subtle, but just adds like a little bit of depth, and it also creates a sort of a B section. That sounds really good, yeah, already, but I felt like I could kind of like add another element, and that's where I went in and I found this. I like to like go digging on the internet for like ambient style vocals or atmospheric vocals, and I found this one, and it was like a huge waveform. First thing that I did was I made sure that vocal, like, you know, the atmospheric vocal was in the same key as the melody that I created. Straight away, then that's just like, you know, it's going to sound great. It's going to be in the key. You don't have to really do much thinking. I put Supermassive on it, which is just like a reverb. And I literally just like took these 2 sections out of it and turned it into kind of like a pluck. And that was kind of like the response to the guitar. So this is the vocal. And then I had this respace, it's just a one shot, and all I've done here is just use the root notes, and I just made them overlap here and here, just so that it glides between the notes. It's just like this kind of thing that you do with respaces, I guess. Turn on the glide, and my time was 102 milliseconds. Sounded pretty good. Pretty full. So then I decided I was going to make like a B section, or essentially like the A section of where the beat would be. I've just switched out this kind of like response that I did with the vocal, and I decided to go with like a pluck. So that pluck is just in Inspire, sorry. It's just called Trance. So we've got the one exposed clap, pretty simple clap pattern, but I just doubled it up at the end. We've got this snare that's like a rip squad snare, which is layered with a hi-hat. And this is a hi-hat from Frosty the Snowman. Pretty simple hi-hat pattern. I went with the spins 808. This is just following the root notes of the chords, like pretty simple stuff. Just the 808, it just goes up an octave in some sections. And then I just layered a kick every time the 808 hit. So this is what that sounds like. And then we've got this second section. I've just put back in the same vocal chops from the intro basically. So I just added this new synth element, which was a preset Inspire. It was a lead. And I just decided to just layer a melody over the top of these chords. So yeah, so that's like basically the whole body of the melody. It's obviously less overwhelming when you break it down like that. I'm sticking to the idea of call and response in here as well. So I obviously just like layered this new melody kind of like in this front section where the guitar plays, but I still left space for this vocal to like kind of do its thing. So thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Consider subscribing if you like my content. I'm trying really hard at the moment to just keep pushing out content. Been having a lot of fun creating videos, and I feel like, yeah, there's plenty more to come. So yeah, thanks for watching.